Okay. Well, today we're going to be talking about how to retune without bypassing. This is class 5 of the law of like tuning in, tapping in. Um, so uh, so I actually have a worksheet. I'm gonna send this over to y'all. I'm gonna put this in the chat for you guys. Okay. All right, let's get into it. Okay, class 5, how to retune without bypassing. Because a lot of times what people want to do is they want to pretend like, let's think better thoughts or pretend that you're fine or just go for a walk and then act like nothing matters or dissociate. Well, today is about retuning in real life without bypassing what's actually happening in your body and paying attention to it. This is how you stop swinging between chaos and control and start living quiet certainty. Quiet certainty. Okay. Um, so this is how you actually get in that calm. Stay calm, cool, and collected. So by the end of this class, you will understand why positive thinking actually backfires, can backfire. Know how to retune without suppressing or spiritualizing. Have a four-step process on how you can use what you I can't talk. A four-step process that you can use in the middle of real triggers and feel the difference between a high emotion and a clean emotion. So we're going to explain the differences between those two. And watching a live retuning demo. Okay. So, and learn how to slow your nervous system one notch at a time, not forcing calm when you're upset or any other feeling. This is not becoming emotionless. This is becoming calm. This is becoming unhijackable. So a lot of the time our emotions hijack us, and then we start acting out of like an old program in survival mode, and we're actually not paying attention to what we're doing. So the problem why people get stuck. Most people think retuning means think positive, and when I say retuning, I'm talking about like when you feel triggered, coming back to your calm, coming back to center, being present again. So most people think retuning means think positive, or another thing about retuning, it's like tuning the radio, change the channel on the station. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're doing. Okay, so most people think retuning means think positive, raise your vibration, calm down, be spiritual about it, just be loving. It's all good. But what they're actually doing is they're skipping the body. They're overriding the emotion. They're probably dissociating. That's what that sounds like. Gaslighting themselves. And they try to swing into high emotion disguised as empowerment. Like, oh, I got this. And like they start, wanting to do something about it. And that's okay because anger can do that. It can be an empowering emotion. But you want to make sure you're doing it from a clean space because what you get is what you get back. And the boomerang effect, what energy you put out is what you're going to get back. So, high emotion and clean emotion, what's the difference between the two? High emotion is charged, it's reactive, it's performative, and it's loud. Clean emotion is grounded, it's honest, it's contained, and it's quiet. This is like the difference between shouting and telling people your boundaries and embodying them. So, this is like more about embodiment. The four-step retuning process. So, this is the backbone. And this is going to be repeatable. So you can do this anytime that you're feeling like you're triggered. Okay, so you can't retune a dysregulated nervous system with thoughts, not with affirmations, nothing like that. So some people think, oh, I just say it over and over and over and it'll come to me, but it doesn't. It's because your nervous system, it can't hold it. It can't, it's not there in that capacity. So regulation means you're not calm. I mean, dysregulated is when you're not calm. Regulated is when it's safe enough for clarity to return. And this is also when you feel calm. This is when you're regulated. This is when you make good decisions. You feel good. So Here's what we can do. These are four things that you can do. Actually, there's the first process. So I'm going to tell you step one. You can slowly exhale. Make your exhale longer than your inhale. Ground through the feet. Pay attention to the room. Become present. Like you can look at the colors, look what's going around, hear the sounds, orient yourself to the room. And then pay attention to your body. See where you feel some kind of resistance. So when you breathe that exhale, just let that resistance out. I like to picture the breaths like gathering around that resistance and just exhaling it out. So if your body isn't on board, this is a lot about how to marry the body with the mind, the soul with the brain. If the body isn't on board, the mind will lie to protect you. And this is where people can sabotage themselves. I've talked to people about this, these teachings previous, like I talked to somebody yesterday, guys, oh my gosh. Without any, like, if somebody has never done any kind of self-awareness, any kind of self-help or anything like that, this stuff goes completely over their head. And like they are like, I asked somebody like if they wanted to take one of my quizzes, it's seeing if you get emotionally hijacked. And I didn't realize I'm asking the wrong person. So they take my quiz and they're like, I wouldn't pick any of these. And I was like, well, what would you pick? And they're like, none of these. And I'm like, okay, what would an answer be that you would pick? Well, none of these. And I was like, I think we've already established that. Now moving forward, I know you won't pick any of those, but what would be one that you would pick? Like what would you say I could add to it to do it? And they were like, I don't know, just none of these. And I was like, okay. So, and I know this person personally. So I was like, and I already knew what their nervous system is usually set on. It's fight, if you can imagine, like, none of these and not actually giving me an answer. So they're a fighter. So everything, they're always set to fight and disagree and they're right. You've got to be wrong and all that. So I thought it was kind of ironic and funny that they're proving what they are, but not wanting to like actually admit it on paper. Um, so you've got to be aware because if you're not aware, you're going to be in these loops and you're going to think that you're right because your perception is stuck in this loop and you're only going to see what reinforces your own beliefs. So if you think you're right, of course, you're going to be reinforced by things that make you think you're right. Just like me just then, I'm like, I know you're a fighter. Look, you're fighting, and that's what I'm seeing in them. And so it's like we are projecting, we're receiving. So let's go back to this. So name the feeling. Next. What are you feeling? What's the frequency you're at? Low, high, medium. You can however you want to put it, but what's the feeling? You can't change what you refuse to name. And naming is not indulging, it's not about venting, it's not creating a story, it's just orienting. It's like the GPS, putting in the GPS where your location is. I'm angry. Okay, GPS, we're angry. So if we want to go somewhere else, we need to know we're here. Examples, I'm activated, not intuitive. I'm defensive, not discerning. I'm anxious, not excited. And if you can see the difference, I'm activated, not intuitive. I'm defensive, not discerning. Where people can like be like, oh, I'm accepting that, but they're really in apathy. This is like these are the opposites of like what you may think you are, but what you really are. You may be like, oh, I'm discerning, but you're really just defensive. Um, the moment you name where you are, you stop being owned by it. You separate yourself from it. It's like you can be the observer now. So number three. So one, it's just orienting yourself in the room, in your body, paying attention. It's the breath. Number two is whenever you name what you're feeling and being honest with it. A lot of people, this is going to be hard for them because it's that honesty that's needed, that awareness. Step three, it's not going to be hard for you guys though. Step three, choose the next clean frequency. What's the next clean emotion? What, like, if you're looking at the map of consciousness, what's the next step up? You don't have to take a bunch of steps. What's the next step up? You don't jump timelines, you step frequencies. I know a lot of people are like, oh, let me show you how to quantum leap. Let me show you how to jump a timeline. I've even done those videos. I get it. But when it really comes down to it, you're going to go back to what you have the capacity to hold, what your normal is, what you're familiar with until you change that, what's familiar for you. So you step frequencies because taking one step at a time, you're less likely to fall back. Don't ask what's highest vibe. Ask what's the cleanest next notch. What can you go to cleanly and realistically and keep it there? And it's okay if you're not sure. This is where you just start trying to figure it out. So you just try. And it's not about trying, but doing, being there. Be like, okay, I'm angry right now. What's the next best step? Feel it first, guys. You got to feel the feeling. You got to be there. You got to feel the feeling and be like, okay, I'm angry. All right. From here, what do I want? What am I trying? What am I upset about? And what do I want to try to accomplish? And then, okay, what's that next step that's closer to that? From rage to steadiness, from panic to being neutral, from collapse to being present. The nervous system doesn't trust leaps either. This is why a lot of people, when they try to leap, they tend to fall back. Is because the nervous system has to feel comfortable with it. It trusts increments, it trusts steadiness, it trusts consistency, it trusts slow and steady. Okay. So that's the third step. So step four, embody inevitability. Certainty is a state, not a speech. You don't have to explain, you don't have to convince, you don't have to rehearse outcomes. What inevitability feels like is slower, it's quieter, less words, more stillness. It's like a detachment too, that you've accepted you've accepted the way things are. And you know how I told y'all whenever you feel a feeling, like sometimes the problem is you're not accepting that you have that feeling, you're not feeling the feeling because when you do, you've accepted it, and that's actually what puts you in higher vibrations so you can release that feeling and go to the next one. So this is like that acceptance, that calm. And certainty is quiet. It does not have to explain itself. It does not feel the need to defend itself. It's like, and that's all good. Hey, I don't hang out with liars. You don't have to go and announce that. Like or I'm not going to stay in this situation where this is part of boundaries. Oh, where did that go? Okay, so what I want you guys doing is try to move just one notch up from where you are. Be like 1% better. You know how they say that is just be a little bit better, rise a little higher. So let's give some real examples. So let's go ahead and pull up the worksheet. I'm going to do this with you guys. So think of a real recent situation. Do you guys have the worksheets up? I'll make sure y'all are here with me. Hi. Oh, is that Ryan on another? Okay. I saw Ryan, then I saw you. I was like, is that another guy that looks like Ryan?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm at home and I'm fighting my laptop and I had to get on my O, so I'm trying to fix one and talk and listen. So
Okay, so part one of the worksheet is catch the moment. Think of a real recent situation where you felt activated, overwhelmed, defensive, anxious, or emotionally charged. Okay. Um, and what happened in your body? Was it tight chest, shallow breathing, restlessness, jaws tight, collapse, heaviness? Did you feel chaotic in your chest? Was your heart beating faster? Did you feel like you were out of control? What's going on in that body?
Something happens to me before the middle of my back always tightens up.
Mm.
And I fell out of a truck 10 years ago, and I always thought it went back to that, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times what we do is we attract, if it's been there for a long time, we'll attract an accident, we'll attract an illness that brings more attention to that spot. And so like um
No
I
shit. No, no shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you're not supposed to ignore it. Like no matter what, life is always trying to get your attention.
Yeah, but I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did
wow,
you
that makes
know that if you have a hard time digesting what's going on around you or processing what's going around you, like maybe you dissociate more than you really should, or you shouldn't really ever do that, but um, you can have significant digestive issues.
I've had that
Like,
all. Hold on a sec. I've had it all my life from the time I was. All this goes back to from like 5 or 6 years old.
mhm.
I would eat. I could literally miss to eat a gallon of pickles in 2 days or a day, and I'd eat grapefruit like crazy. I talked to a holistic healer, and she goes, "You got digestive issues." And I ate pickles. It was so obvious. I ate pickles until okay, because all this timeline here goes together. I got divorced in 22. My gallbladder went to going like crazy, and right before, after we decided to, before we got done, and the day that my gallbladder was gone, I think I may still have the same gallon of pickles that I originally bought, and that's been 3.5, 4 years
Yeah, and in certain
ago.
organs we store certain emotions.
And see, I did a liver cleanse with my, and this is terrible to say, but it's true. If I'd have saw my brother in between the time I shut my car door to the front door where I walked in, we'd been rolling in dirt like to hurt each other, not just a fist fight, but I mean, and the second I came out of that, I said, I don't hate him no more.
Yeah, I think the gallbladder has something to do with anger. Let me see
It,
which.
it, it does.
Okay. Yeah, I actually had a gallbladder thing too. Um,
Well, and one of the worst attacks I had was at work right before I quit. And my boss literally walked in and said, Are you having a heart attack? I said, because it was on a Saturday and I was mad because I was at work. Yeah. So all this goes on.
yeah, so the liver and the
Oh,
gallbladder,
the
yeah, it's
salt.
irritation, anger, and frustration. And
Okay, this the salt goes along with the stress too, by the way.
what?
In the chat, Audrey put salt. Yeah, it goes along there too.
Mhm. So, even to go a little bit deeper, but this could be another clouds too. Um, we have these gene keys. We talked about gene keys, but to go a little deeper on gene keys, so your DNA has certain genes in there, like it's like a USB, like full of information of how you're going to run. And not all of them have, a lot of this, your genes aren't turned on. Like you have a lot that aren't turned on, just certain ones are turned on. And sometimes it's because how your family lives that you'll have certain ones turned on. So you'll think it's hereditary when it's actually more, that's the way that you were taught to live. So those got turned on. Um, but you don't have to have all the ones that your family had turned on, and you can turn them off. You can turn them on and off. This is why, like, when you master this stuff, you can change your eye color, you can change your hair color. You can be like Lucy in the movie with Charlotte, whatever her or Johansson or something. Um, yeah, you can start doing that once you understand the gene keys even more, but this is like significant like studying on that stuff and practicing. But these genes have certain amino acids that they need to turn them on, or minerals. So, like, I think it's just amino acids, but it may be minerals, but it has certain things that you have to eat and have in the body for that gene to even have a chance to turn on or to keep it going. So, like, if you have like a thing that's turned on, you may need more salt to keep it going, or magnesium, or whatever it is. And so, that's just a little side note, too, is that they're all
Okay.
associated with a particular fundamental building block of food, nutrition.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I was going to a meeting one time and literally 2 months before I went, I said, I'm going to lose 20, 25 pounds. I didn't do anything. I didn't change it, not one thing. And by the time I got to the meeting, I dropped 25 pounds, 20 pounds. And the next day after the meeting, it all came back.
Yeah. We're really strong in the way we think. You can lose weight by just thinking it. You can gain muscle just by thinking it. You can become better at something just by thinking it. You don't have to actually do it. I mean, doing it proves it, but yeah, there's been so many studies on that, like where people just think of playing games in their head and they get better, or they get more muscle mass, or almost the same muscle mass as the people who are actually doing the work. So it's amazing. And when I would try to lose weight, it or do anything with my body, I just think it. And then I let whatever inspired action come with it too. Um, okay, where was I? Oh, oh yeah, worksheet. Okay, I'm like, I forgot what I was doing. Okay, so first step is regulating the body. So before you try to figure it out, you want to prevent, you want to create that safe space for that clarity to come through. Because like we said, if the body is not regulated, if the body is not on board, the mind will lie to you. Okay, so you have to regulate the body first. That's the reason why. So that the mind won't lie to you about what's going on. You can actually see it and be present.
Wait,
See the truth.
hold on a second. I got a question here. I'm
Mhm.
always, I feel like I always do this backwards. I feel like I have to have the mind, then the body. And I know it doesn't work, but how do we get the body going right?
So this is it. So this is where you sit there and you take a slow exhale. Inhale, slow exhale. So bring it back to your breath. This is going to be the best way to bring it back to your body. Bring it back to your breath. Press the feet into the floor. Drop your shoulders. Like feel your body, scan your body, and see where you're tense. And then with your breath on the exhale, release that tension. So you're paying attention to the body. And then you can look around the room. You're orienting yourself to right now, here in this space where you are. So you look around the room, see if there's anything you can notice. You can listen to the sounds of the room. Just be here right now with your body. So, do you notice a difference in your perception or even your body after doing that?
I feel more relaxed, less foggy.
Hmm.
Oh,
The
my. Go
the
ahead.
pit, the sensation of a knot in my stomach goes away. That whatever it was I was thinking about. That's all I noticed. That's what I noticed.
Yeah, on my exhale, I can feel my back get better.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Good. That's like you becoming more regulated. So now name the emotion. It says frequency on here, but you can name where you're at. What emotion are you feeling? Right now, I'm actually feeling activated, defensive, anxious, disappointed. It could be curious, like overstimulated, shut down. And like it says up here, it's about accuracy, not positivity, guys. So you don't have to just pick an emotion that sounds good.
So what would no emotion be? Like,
Just calm,
not just
neutral.
calm. Okay.
Yeah, that's neutrality. That's what you would call that. I think that's like at a 300 or something, so that's still pretty high. So neutral is good.
Can you repaste the worksheet in the chat? It's not in mine because I was jumping computers.
Yeah. Oops. Here you go.
Thank you.
Okay. And just name something, keep it short. You don't need a story behind it, guys. You don't need to be like, well, I've been anxious because da 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 da. No, just don't do that. Don't go in the head. This is all about the body. Okay, for now, it's in the body. So you're gonna feel the feeling. You feel anxious, whatever it is. Naming is not indulging. It's not about telling the story. It is orienting you. It's making you present, making you aware. Okay, so now name the next clean emotion or frequency. You don't jump to the highest vibe. You don't go from being like grieving to all of a sudden to um love, joy, and peace. Like you could like for a moment, but that's not something you're going to stay at. So like what's the next clean frequency? Clean emotion that you're that actually seems like something that your nervous system can get on board with. So let's say like on the map of consciousness, if you're feeling like grief or sadness, if you're like, I think I can jump to anger. I can be mad at myself for putting myself through this. I can be mad at the people who did it too. And that's okay to be mad at other people. It's okay to be mad at yourself. Just feel that feeling, you know? And then from there, it's like, okay, I need to make a change. Usually in anger is where we decide to make a change. It's below that we want something different, but we don't do much about it. So that anger is like, hey, this is not right. We got to do something, or whatever it is. Maybe you're going from courage to neutrality. Like you've been feeling pretty good and you just don't have any real feelings going on. That's just neutrality. That's fine. So you're trying to go from like feeling like off and chaos and dramatic in the inside to more of a steadiness, more of a calm, more clarity. Because even with anger, clarity comes. Because that's one notch up and you get more clarity. Even with pride, more clarity comes. I mean, those aren't the most clear areas to be in, of course. You want to be encouraged and above so that you're more in a place of power. But you do get more clarity with each step, each notch up.
The when I hit neutral, from there, what naturally feels the way to go, the direction to go in terms of moving to a different level is opposite of what I was feeling before. So if I was feeling doubt, now I'm neutral about it, then the next thing that I want to feel is brave. Or, yeah, brave, because then that leads to courage, right?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So what do you feel like after you hit all of that? This this whole quiet certainty is that whole after the emotion moves through you, that feeling. That's what that means. This is where you get the next inspired action. And this is that certainty. It's like, oh, I know what I need to do. When you really face it, we do know what we need to do. Usually it's the emotion that's getting in the way, that's creating some chaos and some clutter in the mind. But when you process it and accept things the way they are, not trying to change it, not trying to change yourself, not trying to change anything, just accepting where they are right now, then you're like, yeah, I got to change jobs, or I need to get out of this relationship, or I need to start working out and taking better care of myself. Whatever it may be. I need to love myself more. I need to respect myself more. I need to honor myself more. And it's not about a need. It's just you notice what you haven't been giving yourself or you haven't been doing that you've been needing to do to get to that next level. Um, so it's a neutral strength. It's a peaceful no. Yeah, this isn't for me. It isn't being like, once you get that certainty that that job isn't for you, you don't have to go in and be like, you know what? Y'all suck. I don't need this job. You don't need to do that. You're just like, I'm gonna look for another job and quit. Just go in there and quit. Oh, this isn't the right person. You really, really know this isn't the right person. Okay, now that your nervous system isn't dysregulated and addicted to the high and low of a bad relationship, or addicted to that little bitty breadcrumb that you get because your nervous system is regulated, you can be like, yeah, you know what? Breadcrumbs really aren't good enough for me. But you don't have to tell them that. You can just be like, this isn't working for me. And there's not really a way it's going to either. The job's not right. This isn't right. You're not right. Not for me, not for what I want. And that's that certainty of knowing, hey, I deserve it. You're honoring yourself in that moment that, what is it? That next step. And that's that I also like to call that inspired action too. You know what you need to do. So in this place, this is where nothing leaks anymore. It's whenever you're dysregulated that it's like you'll have financial leaks, emotional leaks. You'll have all of these kind of leaks going on in your body and in your business, in your mind, in your emotions. You're going to notice that for some reason you can't keep what you want. And that's that, the holding, the capacity, but you have these leaks because you don't have the container to hold it. This is when you start noticing that your money doesn't have to leak out anymore or whatever it is that you're dealing with. You don't have to over explain. You don't have to chase. You don't have to threaten. You don't have to withdraw dramatically. You just act without friction because you know what the next step is. And this is where inspired action comes in. It ends arguments, it collapses power struggles, it feels magnetic instead of reactive, makes boundaries effortless. The body finally feels safe enough to make that step when you feel this. The honest emotion can be named. The emotion is allowed to settle within you, and the mind stops narrating. You stop telling the story over and over to yourself. It doesn't matter anymore. You know what the next step needs to be. You can take it. If you feel the need to explain yourself, if you feel chaos in your chest, panic, or you're waiting for somebody else to react to know what to do next, you're doing it wrong. That's when you're dysregulated again. And you can go from regulated to dysregulated just with a thought. So you have to be mindful of your thoughts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is perfect. Uh, yeah, you're explaining a lot of things because I was in a relationship that was breadcrumbing like that, and I finally told her, yeah, no. And living on the calm side of the brain, I started it like July. And it's been a slow progression, but yeah, what you're talking about right now, yeah. And so, like, I kind of got a little dysregulated yesterday about something because my future, my I got something in my future that is not control of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some people that honestly I don't think is old enough to make the decision, but it took me a minute to calm down and finally I was like, well, all I can do is what I can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, between you and another teacher, I have finally learned how to, because honestly, looking back, I love living in a chaos. Like my cell phone would ding with a text message. I'm because it was so and so, and now I'm like, whatever. I get to it in a minute.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, yeah. That's I'm glad. Yeah. So it's like, so what is like something that you know you've been needing to do, or like something that you've got a lot of chaos around, a lot of panic towards, or whatever it may be, something that dysregulates you. You know, is this a person? Is it a relationship? Is it a job? Is it your health? You know, what is it? And maybe it could be all those things. It could be because you know what? How you do one thing is how you do a lot of things, how you do everything almost, but that's the energy that you're at, the frequency you're at. So it makes sense if it did affect more than one thing. Like if you're in a bad relationship and if you've been there for a while, you are going to have physical issues. That just happens with it because you're not dealing with something emotionally. And to be in a bad relationship for a long time, you have to dissociate and lie to yourself. So it's like you lying to yourself takes you out of your own integrity and you're in a whole nother level, you know. And guess what? When you lie to yourself, then what are you going to see? Lying all around you. Like people are going to be lying to you too. And because you're not putting yourself out there honestly. And that was something I had to realize. So I want to add this too, guys, because like this was something like so um because of the way uh I was raised to be pretty much a people pleaser and a peacekeeper. I was very, very quiet, very, very shy. I didn't start like speaking up till I think I was like 21, 22, and I became a financial advisor and I was in a sales job of all things. And if you knew me at the time, that was not my space. I could have very easily just said, this is not for me. I am so freaking shy. And I don't even talk to people. Like I avoided looking at people so they didn't have to, so they wouldn't talk to me. And because I didn't know how to have conversations. So I forced myself into the sales position to learn. And I was the most awkward person starting out. I was reading a bunch of books, trying to figure out what to do because I didn't even know how to have conversations because I always kept myself very quiet. I had friends, of course, and all that, but that was it was weird. Or I was weird. I was weird. And um so I had to learn along the way, and it was like I just was always in chaos. So like learning the sales position, I was used to being in that chaos, so I just kept on staying in chaos. And it was finally, and I was dealing with bad relationships, health issues, all of this stuff. And I remember being stuck in these bad relationships, these health issues, and I almost felt like I had to stay there. What? You know, like no, I mean, this person, I've been with them for 13, one of them I was with for 13 years, 13 years. And even though he's been diagnosed a narcissist, it's not always bad. Well, that's the thing with narcissists. It isn't always bad. They actually do have a good side, and it can be a really good side. And it's like that's the problem. But they keep you disoriented, confused, and they keep you on this constant level of you're not sure when the attack is going to happen, but you know it's going to happen. You're just not sure when. And it could be right after the most calm, good time that you guys had. And you really think because of this last good time, no, they wouldn't feel comfortable doing it again right now. No, they will. They will. And they do. So I was stuck in this whole like constant, like looking over my shoulder, like waiting for the people closest to me to attack me. And I felt like I just had to stay there. One part of me felt like, well, if I get out of this relationship, I know his good sides. So what if he does better for the other person? And it was really me that just needed to be better in certain ways. Because, of course, in those kind of relationships, they make you feel like it's you all the time that's the problem. And you need to cater to their emotions and cater to them or do more for them. And then they wouldn't be that way. And so you think, well, if I could do this to make you feel better and act better, then I will. So you start playing in this circus, jumping through hoops. And so I got used to jumping through hoops and being in a circus and being the main, being the main attraction that is being watched and not realizing it, like not in a good way. And so I don't know why I felt so much that I had to stay where I was, though. It was just like, I have to stay here. And this is what I'm used to. And I do love this person. And like at times they seem to get better. And then my job, I was like, well, I just need to get better here too. I just need to get better everywhere. The problem is I'm not good enough yet. And so everything in my life was reinforcing, you're not good enough. You're not good enough yet. Um, you need to be better. You need to try harder. And so I got stuck in this crazy loop of trying and not being good enough and like just trying to become better and better and better and better. And like the stuff outside of me wasn't changing. Like I could temporarily have something good because I would force it, but then it would disappear again. And I'm like, why is it like this? And finally, it got so bad. I just accepted where everything was. I just accepted it. I was like, this person probably will never love me the way I need to be loved, not consistently. And so what I did is I did a separation. I left them. Well, they left to go on a job, and then I just let them back in and told them I needed like 2 months. And so for 2 months, I wanted to see what they would do. Didn't do anything. Didn't do anything to try to make anything better. Um, and then I quit giving as much. And I know this probably was kind of crappy, but I just wanted to see if I wasn't trying so hard, would anything even be held together anymore? Or would it start falling apart? Everything started falling apart in my life. The moment I quit holding on to everything and trying to make everything the way I thought that I needed to be and what everything else needed to be, I was controlling everything and not realizing I was manipulating myself to control being loved, for the need of wanting to be accepted and loved, to be good enough to be loved, without having to beg for it. And so like it was kind of weird, but the moment that I let go and got into this place of, okay, we'll just see what happens if I'm not the one holding everything together. And it all started falling apart. And it sucked. It was hard when everything starts falling apart. And so then I'm like, did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong? And no, I didn't. That was exactly what I needed to do. And like, so it may feel like chaos when you start letting go and you start working on this, but I wish I would have known more of the nervous system stuff at that time on how to breathe, how to meditate, how to orient myself and be right back in my body, how to be present. That would have made that whole process a lot easier because it was a lot. And like the thing about life doesn't just stop. Life doesn't just stop and only be good. It's like sprinkled with good and bad all the way through it. It's like, how can you handle the bad that does show up? Can you be okay? Like today, I had like three bad things happen just this morning, but I also had good things that happened this morning. While the bad's happening, um, like I had somebody trying to threaten me, and that happens in this business. So somebody was trying to threaten me, and I was like, just do whatever you need to do, you know? Um, and they're like, that's all you got to say, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight this. Just do whatever you need to do, and then we'll go from there. I'll see what my next step is. And they're trying to get me to do something, and they're demanding me do something that is not something I need to be doing. And so I'm like, well, if you feel the need to threaten, that tells me they're dysregulated and they're worried. But I'm like, yeah, that's okay. And and I'm like, okay. And then another thing, I was supposed to be on a podcast and my assistant messed up the time frames and the podcast people got really upset with me. And I mean, like, normally my people pleasing self would be like, oh my God, like feeling so anxious, feeling so bad. And I used to think that if you felt bad, that means you won't do it again or you actually care, you know? And so, but when it happened, I was like, okay, accept it. I mean, what are you going to do about it, Mitzi? I did apologize and, and I was like, moving forward, we got to make sure that it's on my calendar. And I'm not teaching the class at the same time. And so I made some plans, but it's like learning. So, but that's that quiet certainty. That's that, where you know what to do next. So you can, it's like, okay, what should we do next? Like, is there some preventative measures to prevent anything bad that happened? Okay, let's get those in place. If there isn't and there's nothing you can do, breathe and be here. You're alive. You're alive. We're experiencing this and we're experiencing this experience and it's awesome. And it's like, okay, all right, well, I'll accept that. And sometimes this level of detachment, some people will be like, do you even care? Yes, I do, but I don't need to freak out to show I care. I care by trying to make it better and like moving forward. And I care by being present, being here with what the problem is, being here to be willing to have a communicate, to have a conversation, and then also keeping my cool so the conversation can actually be heard and understood on the right level. So that's what I do. And it's like, okay, be cool. I take my deep breaths, pay attention, and then I'm like, okay, I'm angry. All right, let's feel it. Let's accept it. All right. What can I do now? How can I feel what can I do now or how can I feel better? How can it be any better than this? I like to ask, how can it be any better than this? And then it's like, all right, okay. And you know what? Sometimes when you're used to like some kind of loop, you'll feel kind of addicted to it. For some reason you'll be like, but I feel like I need to do this. I need to reach out to this person, or I need to make this better, or I need to do something. It's like, that's the problem. You always feel like you need to do something when sometimes you just need to sit there and breathe and you just need to be there in the present moment and let the next thing show up. It's like, oh, well, in this situation, the only thing I can really do is prepare for the future and just go back to the day. And what's the next experience for this day for me? Because I'm sure it's full of many experiences. And I'd rather tune in to an experience I'd rather have, not by bypassing what I'm experiencing now, feeling it, accepting it, and be like, okay, I don't need to keep going back to that thought and going back there. Now to master my mind, like, okay, what's the next thing? But if that feeling keeps on coming back up, that's something for me there. I need to maybe it's a little deeper level. And I'm only saying this about me to just share it with you guys, but it's like more about like understanding yourself and where you are and understanding maybe I am addicted to a certain loop. And that's why it's a loop. Like maybe I am addicted to this chaos, like Ryan said. And I was too, Ryan. So I totally understand that. It was like if there was no chaos, I felt like I felt like if there was any calm, but just because of the way I was raised, something horrible was about to happen. It's like, when kids get quiet and you're like, hold on, what's going on? It was almost like that. Like if something got quiet in my life, I would be like, hold up, everything's good. What's about to happen? Because I
Oh,
was used to that in my relationship with a
oh,
narcissist.
yeah, I was dating a woman,
Hmm.
and it's so 2026 that we had to qualify that, but she was boring because there wasn't any chaos. It took me about a month to finally figure out she's boring because she's not breaking things and this and that. And I'm like, never thought this would happen.
You weren't ready for it yet.
Well,
Yeah, it was
no.
like you got like a preview of what it could be like to have that calm, but you weren't
Well,
ready for it yet.
okay. You just, okay, thanks.
That's okay.
No, no, you don't understand. You're confirming some things. I've, I've had, I've had two people ask me the same question 2 days within 12 hours. And then you're talking about that right there. That's something else. But yeah, yeah. The first one I was talking about, she stepped out, but yeah, another one has stepped in. So yeah.
Yeah, and we're always I don't want to call it being tested, but we are being like kind of tested. Like, where are you? Like, are you able to accept this or are you not? Like, do you want this? And just because somebody's calm doesn't mean they're the right person either.
I get,
Like,
I get this, but like if she walked, this is what I'm saying now, if she walked out tomorrow, I'd be okay with it. I don't have this stinking attachment that's so crazy about it.
mhm. Yeah. I do think that there is a certain um state that we get to when we find the right person. There can be that level of detachment, but there's also this level of feeling, I don't want to call it like more whole, but you feel kind of more whole with that person. Like you feel like you can do more and be more with that person. And I think with that it can be very nice to have. Where if you have that and you're not used to having that, you can also feel like, I don't want that to go. But it's good to have that level of detachment where you're like, I know another one can come in too, but not like anyone can be replaceable. It's just like you're not worried and having to be like, it can only be this person. It has to work out only with this person. Now, once you're married, I think you definitely should be like, yeah, I'm going to make this work with this person.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, but like not just with somebody I was dating, but when people used to come in and out of my life or go out, oh my gosh, I had such an attachment to somebody leaving that it was just terrible.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we're addicted to the chaos, what we're actually feeling when people leave is like almost a withdrawal. So it'll
Yeah.
feel like you're actually going through withdrawals, like you're a drug addict. And if you were in a narcissistic relationship, they actually relate those withdrawals to heroin withdrawals. That's the
Well,
same stuff going on in the brain as somebody
okay.
withdrawing from heroin.
Okay. I'm not trying to say this because of this, but I've never done heavy drugs,
hmm
but I've done nicotine. Oh my gosh. No, I'm fixing to do it right now. I quit 2000 the summer of 2003 or 2004. And I'm sitting there talking about nicotine. I'm rubbing my lip with my tongue because I want to dip right now. And yeah, so yeah, the withdrawals, it's just as bad as drugs. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is what it does with your the dopamine, the serotonin, all the stuff that gets flooded in the brain when you're with a person is the same stuff that gets flooded whenever you're doing drugs. And like um and that high, that nice feeling that people want, that's associated with normal stuff. Like breath work can get you there.
Uh,
Being in love can get you there. Like all kinds of things.
ice bath to get you there.
hmm Yeah. But whenever you're in cycles of relying on something to get you there outside of yourself, then you become addicted to it. And
That's exactly where I was at. I
mhm,
needed everybody else to make me happier to do this.
yeah, yeah. Like it can feel kind of lonely when you're doing the healing if you're not around other people that are dealing with the same thing.
Yeah.
You'll feel like it's just you. And it's like, no, there's a bunch of other people that are dealing with it too. Um,
Yeah, but people don't know how to do it. Like I've got some people that are close. I didn't realize how screwed up they were.
Have you guys ever done like some significant healing and then went back to old people that you knew and you realized like, wow, I must have been really messed up to hang out with them?
Well, no, I'm talking about my
Versus,
brothers. I'm talking about my
okay.
brothers. I mean,
Yeah.
we all grew up in the same household. We're all three so different,
Mhm.
but we got some core wounds that were, and we grew up in a good house. I
Mhm.
mean, I mean, I don't think I don't think they did anything wrong other than they didn't tell us some stuff. But yeah, we got, I don't know, like, I don't know how people that grew up in, I don't know how people grew up in rough stuff and make a living after the way we grew up and we're still screwed up.
There's it just depends on how we take things in and emotionally how safe we feel as a child. You don't have to have a bunch of stuff going wrong if you don't feel safe or if you don't feel consistent and steadiness, then that can mess with a kid. And if they don't feel seen or heard or cared for, that can mess with a kid. Um, yeah, I grew up in chaos and
So we didn't. We
yeah.
didn't, but I had twin brothers that were within 18 months of each other.
Mhm.
So mom and dad had to split up just logistics. And I was the oldest and I had to take care of everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is an example of how what Gabor Mate was saying that children, when they grow up in the same house, each child does not have the same parent
Yeah.
because a different version of that parent shows up with each child. Life changes, jobs changes. You might not even be living in the same house. And so even though you have the same family, the dynamic between each person is different in how you grow up.
Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense because we had a neighbor guy, like, mean. He took one of the twins at like probably 4 or 5 years old and he hung out with him all the time. Huh. Okay.
Well, and just think about personalities too. I mean, like your parents,
Mhm.
um, their personalities went probably with another one of the kids' personalities better than another one. So their relation with them actually was a little more free flowing than with another
Oh,
one.
oh
And so
yeah,
you're
I went.
gonna get a different version of that type of parent and be like, no, this parent's the best parent. And then the other kid's gonna be like, no, they aren't. They don't treat me very good. And it's like, yeah, because they don't really resonate with you. They don't spend time with you like me. And so they're gonna have different experiences.
Oh, that's exactly what happened. Like me and mom was tight, and then the middle brother was with another guy, and then Chip, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and that's just like this is so it's not about anyone. And I used to think, oh, well, if my mom hadn't done this, I wouldn't have had to go through all that, or if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have had to go through that. The obstacle is the path. Like everything that we're going through was meant to build us, build those character traits. Have y'all ever read those books that had the multiple endings? Oh, I
No,
loved
but I
those
love,
books as a kid.
oh, no, but I love Wayne's World.
Yeah, so like you actually could pick like what this character, a different story of how this character chose something, and the whole story would change at the end, like completely different experience. Right, Audra?
Yeah, and my daughter's doing that right now, actually, as fan fiction from one of the movies, How to Train Your Dragon,
Yeah.
and how this one decision, if he made the different decision, it would have done a completely whole new different thing. And so he's having a
Okay.
lot of fun with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the okay? I got a teenager and I got two teenagers that need something like this. What's this style of book called?
I don't know if they make them anymore.
It was something I used to read when I was a kid. I'd have to look into it and see, but I loved those books because I loved having the ability to decide and make different things happen. I liked seeing how the whole different experience would be just from one decision. And that reminds me of life. Like if you're presented with a lesson and you are like, no, I'm not ready to learn it. I'm not ready for that. Okay, well, the world's like, all right, well, then this is the life that you're going to live for a little bit longer. But if you're like, yeah, I'm ready for that, okay, this is a whole new life, but it's like a different timeline. This is the whole timeline thing I was talking about because, like, it's not just your decisions, but your thoughts. But your thoughts power your decisions, right? And so if you're like, yeah, I'm ready for this, then now you're on another timeline. You have another station playing, another radio station, another TV channel, and you're seeing something completely different. So every decision we make really does make our life, but we're not ever making a wrong decision. But are we delaying what we wanted? Yeah, we could be doing that
Okay.
because we wanted you have to develop certain character traits. And until you understand, it's like a level of understanding and awareness, you're not allowed to be at this other level yet, until you're willing to make these other decisions. You're not that other level isn't open for you. And when you make a decision, that's when things open up. Like that's that courage. It opens up that courage, then you're not onto another thing. And uh and that's like it's important to realize that every step that we're doing, are we just prolonging us getting there, or are we actually making the decision? And it's not about place of force because it doesn't matter if you try to force it, that's not going to work. It's an energy thing. So, are you willing to be disciplined enough to make the decisions with the discernment, the boundaries, the standards that you need to open up this new level? And if you are, and you say, yes, I'm making this hard decision, hard for me decision, and I'm saying yes, then the world is going to be like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, but do you find out when you make the decision, do you get a test at that point?
Yeah. Yeah, I almost say,
Uh,
I think every time, yeah.
yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Because I'm like,
It's
I've
like,
done
are
this
you sure?
exactly. Yeah, I'm like, God, I'm gonna do this. Okay, well, let's have this conversation.
Well, it's before the doors open. It does seem like you get a test to make sure, are you really on this level? Because we
Yeah,
can't open this door if you're really not on this level. But if we put this test in front of you and you go back to the old ways, we know yeah, we can't open that door for you.
yeah.
Some people say if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but not in this lifetime. You know, like I've seen too many people die before they made their thing, made what they wanted happen. I've had three of my best friends die, and none of them had any of their goals happen. So when people say if it's meant to be, it'll be, I'm like, that's not true. If it's meant for me, it'll happen. No, it's there for you, but are you ready for it? And that's when it gets open for you. But yes, when you say yes to something, yeah, something significant usually happens where you're like, oh, I think I made the wrong decision. No, actually, if that happened, you're probably making the right decision. Stay steady. It's like that, like when you're like that whole picture of digging for gold, and like people usually turn back right before and they got a little thin wall. But imagine you make it through the wall and all this stuff starts dumping on you. You're gonna be like, oh no, I did the wrong thing. But if you just let it and you don't run away, if you just let it settle, you may notice that, oh, it opened up the whole thing. Okay, here's all the gold. All right. But it's like that whole commotion right before everything settles that you have to sit there steady and be like, yeah, I'm going this way. I'm not gonna run back. And but it takes that whole steadiness. It takes that whole regulation, taking that breath, orienting yourself, not allowing your emotions to take over your your emotions to take over your body and make the decisions for you from a subconscious survival place. Like an old loop. It's like, no, I know I survived when I was back there. I'm gonna just run back there. Okay. But it's like, but you will never get what you've wanted if you keep running backwards or if you keep staying the same. Because now you're not even spiraling, you're just looping. It's just a circle and you're staying in the same space. I see a lot of people stay in the same space. They don't move forward. And then they can tell you all the reasons why they don't. And it's usually somebody else's fault or some circumstance, something outside of themselves, when it was always inside of themselves. Uh, Audra says it also known as Choose Your Own Adventure series, those types of books. Okay. So, um, so the next class, we're gonna be, let me pull it up. We're gonna be going over money frequencies. Why money is fast and unforgiving. So that'll be an interesting one. Because money is a frequency, it's a relationship, and without regulated nervous system, you're gonna have a hard time keeping it. You can maybe able to bring it in, but until you can stay calm and present, the money is gonna be, it's almost kind of like the money is like a high quality relationship. And if you can't keep your cool, the money's gonna want to leave. If you can't treat it well, if you're not a good steward of it, if it's leaking out, it's going to be like, I gotta go. So money's a frequency, it's not just physical. And so we'll be talking about that. Um, so if you guys, do y'all have any questions about today's class or anything else you want to add?
Well, I love the next topic because I'll tell you this. The question that got asked to me by two people I really respect is why is your ex-wife still pissed off at you? And one of them, she deals in very she's like you. She can deal in stuff. Okay. I've got three people in my life that and it's funny. I have had spiritual people come in and out of my life. It is so strange. I've had more people than people. I mean, it's amazing. But she looked at me and she said, and I know part of the why she's still pissed off, but damn, it's been 4 years. Uh, but that's what she said. She says, if you'll fix that, then and she doesn't even know anything about my finances. I've told you way more than her. She goes, but if you'll figure it out, both of them will fix. So this is all in line. I just want to tell you, it's just lining up. So thanks.
There's also
Yeah.
a thin line between love and hate.
Do what?
There's a thin line between love and hate. So if your ex-wife hates you, she probably still loves you. The opposite of love is indifference, not hate.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that, but it wouldn't. There, there's
Well, I'm
things.
not saying that there's, yeah.
Yeah, no, no. It's yeah. So that makes some more sense to it.
Sometimes some people think, well, if you just would have done this, if you would just would have done that, everything could have worked out. And now I've lived this life and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, and they'll be mad at somebody. But and that may not have been it. But yeah. Um, but yeah, and it's weird how physical things can happen. But my ex-husband, he's actually, he's dying at the moment, and they're having to cut off his tongue and his bottom part of his jaw. So he's gonna be like just having to stay in the hospital for a while until they can build all that up. But they haven't been able to do a lot of surgery on him because he's got all these other issues going on. So he's going downhill really quickly right now. And so one thing I think was weird was everything that was affected, he would never would speak up. He wouldn't have conversations. He would just keep things to himself. And now he can't talk even if he wanted to. And physically, they're taking all that out and having to rebuild it. So he won't be able to talk for a long time. And I'm not sure if ever, because they said once they cut his tongue out, he's not going to be able to even talk even after they rebuild his jaw. So like he wouldn't talk. Ironically, if he does live, he won't be able to talk. And it's like we have to be really careful about how what we're doing because it is physically affecting us and the world around us. That's actually one of the reasons I divorced him. And I mean, we could have great conversations. He wasn't a bad relationship, but I mean, not perfect, but yeah. So I just want to say that on the side note is we have to be very careful where we store stuff, what we're doing, how we're handling things, because it does start showing itself. Um, and it can significantly affect us. But all right. Well, yeah, this whole money frequency one, it's going to be a really good one. So I hope to see you guys next week. And thank y'all so much for letting me serve you. You guys have a great day.